All right, now to give us more perspective in terms of what is unfolding at this moment, we're being joined by Dr. Einat Wilf, who's a former member of the Israeli parliament and also the co-author of The War of Return. And she's joining us on this broadcast. Now, Dr. Wilf, this reprisal by the Iranians that we witnessed in the last 12-odd hours in many ways has changed the rules of engagement. Give us a sense as to what has been the level of damage within Israel and how Israel intends to respond to this.
As far as we know, the damage has been minimal. I was yesterday in Tel Aviv. I can say that it was both intense and scary. I was with my family in the safe room in Tel Aviv. We've heard the explosions very nearby. I know the Iranian purpose was to try to overwhelm Israel's air defenses. At the end of the day, and that's the thing we've learned about the last 2 decades, air defense is not really a way to ultimately win wars. What Israel used to know, and in fact much of the world used to know, is you win a war not by hunkering down in the bunker. You win it by taking it to the enemy's territory and by defeating its ideology. And as we know, Israel has no border with Iran, has no territorial dispute with Iran. Iran is the one that has decided many years ago, when it came to power, that its theological objective is to get rid of the Jewish state, of Jewish sovereignty in any borders. That remains their goal. I think they believe that getting rid of the Jewish state will somehow give their regime legitimacy. And just like Nazi Germany and just like Imperial Japan, the world will only be free once this ideology is fully defeated.
All right. Now, just to come back to the conflict that is currently on hand. For the last 1 year, what we've been witnessing was the Israelis who claimed that they were going after Hamas, which they did in the Gaza Strip, and then the war expanded into Lebanon, where we witnessed the Israeli strikes repeatedly in Beirut and also in different parts of Lebanon. But do you now think that over the course of the last 1 year, where the Americans have been saying that they are trying very hard to bring about some kind of a ceasefire, so is the talk of ceasefire now completely off the table?
I can assure you that it is wrong. The new word for appeasement is now de-escalation. We have a history of about a century that every time that the Arabs slaughtered the Jews in the land of Israel, people and world powers cave in to their demands. And every time that the Jewish people begin to strike back, there are hysterical calls for ceasefire that allow various jihadist and annihilationist regimes to stay in power. This really has to come to an end. We know that all this time, our enemies have been building their capabilities on our borders. Hezbollah has made it clear that it planned to carry out an October 7th type massacre taken to the 10th and 100th degree. And we are finally beginning to dismantle their capabilities.
All right. Now, also to talk a bit about the economics of fighting this war. Now, the Israelis, along with the Americans and their allies, used interceptor missiles to try and strike down some of the Iranian missiles. Talk us about a bit of cost of intercepting these missiles that were fired by the Iranians. Is this financially even feasible if this war continues to drag on?
Ultimately, there's no doubt that air defense systems, as successful as they are expensive. And like I said, this is no way to win a war. The last time in April that Iran attacked Israel with no provocation from the Israeli side, America, still in a kind of de-escalation.
If I can just interject there. The Iranians said the reason why they attacked you in April, the Iranian reprisals, the reason was because the Israelis had bombed the Iranian consulate in Damascus. So that reprisal was for the Israeli bombing of the Iranian embassy in Damascus.
No, that wasn't it. That was for taking down the head of Hamas that made the mistake of leaving Qatar which I seriously don't know why they're protected in Qatar, to Iran. But again, this shows you that Iran has decided to make itself a sponsor of the Palestinian ideology of no Jewish state. And by the way, if you look at the last century, every country that decided to sponsor the Palestinian ideology of no Jewish state was defeated and found its ideology in the dustbin of history. It was the Nazis, the Pan-Arabists, and the Soviets. And I can assure you that the Ayatollah regime will find the same fate as its predecessor supporters of the extremist ideology of no Jewish state.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.